Hello scrappers and planet lovers, Tin Man here with another video. So today what I want to do is take apart one of these sub pumps. Find them sometimes on garbage day, especially at house renos. This one I found in a dumpster. Unfortunately it doesn't work. And the nice thing about sub pumps is that they are very easy to take apart, and there is a lot of nice scrappable material that is found inside of one. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take it apart, show you how to identify the different metals and material, and more importantly, how to maximize your profit and divert this from the landfill. So here we go. The first thing that I do want to point out is I have seen people bring these in its entirety, which I think is definitely a shame, because there is some cast aluminum and a big copper motor in here that I'm going to show you how to take apart. It's very easy to do, and given the current price of copper, it is a definite bonus to get that copper out. I am also going to show you the hose that came off of this one. This hose, I am definitely going to be able to reuse. I do have another sub pump that I found that actually does work. However, it was missing the hose. The nice thing is the hose just screws onto the base. I've already tested it and it works great. So this whole hose I can divert from the landfill, which is great. I have seen some people put these online as well for to sell them as parts. But as I said, I'm using this, so that's great. As well, we have the bobber here. This bobber is plastic, unfortunately. This arm is made of steel. If I put a magnet to it, you can see it sticks. I have seen some people put pieces like this online. However, since it is heavily corroded, this is not going to be able to be resold. But I can put this into my steel pile, which is currently going for $259 a ton, which is great. This is about 1.5 pounds, which is awesome. The nicest piece on this is going to be at the top, your motor. When you put one of these in the water, it sits in the water like this. The motor pumps the water out. On top, there is a really nice heavy cord, power cord. These cords in Canada, I'm just going to take it up to the camera. This is classified as 40% copper recovery, and as you can see inside, there are 3 strands of copper that we have a white, black, and green that are coated with a plastic. As well, there is an outer coating. At a scrapyard, you have 60% and 40% copper recovery. Copper, what we look at is plastic copper ratio. Because this has an outer coating of plastic as well as 3 wires with additional coating that's more plastic. So this is going to be 40% copper recovery, which is going for $1.33 a pound Canadian, which is great. Other wire, if you open it up and it only had 1 coating around the copper wire, that would be a higher value at 60% copper recovery, and currently going for $2.13 a pound Canadian. So you definitely want to make sure you separate them. But again, this is going for 40% copper recovery. This is about 1.5 pounds, which is a great, great score. As well, as you can see, there are 3 nice clean brass prongs. I do take these brass prongs off and I put them into a container, and I will get clean brass price, which is currently $2.90 a pound Canadian. Some people will leave these on there for the weight. I haven't really seen much of a difference, but I like to separate them, so it's up to you. But again, a 40% copper wire. The motor here is only attached by 4 screws, and I have already removed the nuts. So I'm just gonna pop these screws out. These screws, the nice thing about these screws is these will go into my screw pile. What I like to do with my screws and nuts and bolts is I will put them into a container, and I will separate them that way, so that way they do not get loose or fall out at a scrapyard. Just trying to unscrew the last part of this one here. The nice thing, as I said, with that, while I'm working, I do have a magnet that I put here, and then afterwards I will just attach it and then put them into a container. As you can see, my container here, these do add up, which is great. Usually when I fill one of these, it's about 10 pounds worth of steel. And again, all it is my nuts and bolts and screws that I get from scrapping. So those are removed. All I'm going to do to open this is actually just hit it with a hammer. And actually what I'll do for this sake is I'm going to just focus on this one because it's smaller. So I will move this one. As you can see, this arm as well is heavily corroded. There's a large crack in there. The rest of this, once I take this motor out, I'm just going to throw this entire thing into my steel pile. Again, as I said, I don't even need my magnet. Just showing you the corrosion here is going to obviously show that it's steel. So the nice thing is this thing, even once I remove the motor off of this, this is going to be a good 4 to 5 pounds of steel. As I said, scrap yards, they're not going to say much about this little plastic here because there is some steel in the bottom as well. So the rest of this arm is going to be going into my steel pile, which is great. The motor here, as I said, I'm going to work on this one. All I do is I hit it off with the hammer, okay? And I've already removed the screws. I have on the bottom here a little bit of cast aluminum, dirty cast because there's steel around it. I do not bother taking this out other than just kind of leaving it on here because cast aluminum right now is only going for dirty cast, is only going for about 5 cents a pound. I'm going to leave this on here with the arm and get steel price, which is 10 cents. So the nice thing, as I said, is that's just going to add to the weight. There is a little bit of cast aluminum here as well on the bottom. But again, given the price of, because it has some steel on it, given the price, I'm going to leave this as just steel and get the weight for it. This arm here, as I said, is about 4 to 5 pounds, which is great. The top of the box here that has the bobber, I'm just going to quickly remove the last screw, and that way I can reveal it for you. There are some wires. Sometimes there is going to be what we call a relay box. We have a silver contact sometimes, and I'm just going to actually just turn this over for you to show you. This does have a heavy plastic on it. You can see inside some really nice clean brass. Just going to pull these prongs out. You can see some wire. Definitely want to get the wire off. There's some really nice clean brass. And again, I will cut this. I will put this wire into my 60% copper recovery because, again, there's only one coating of plastic. Inside of there, there is going to be attached to that box there a silver contact. And for the sake of this video, I'm not going to open it. I have to just use a hammer and smash it open. But a silver contact looks like this. If I open it up, you're going to see a small little dot. That dot is silver. So what I do is I will cut that off and I will put it into my silver recovery. One day I will hit it with some nitric acid and hopefully make a silver bullion. The top of this, again, if I take my magnet, the top is non-magnetic. This is cast aluminum. However, inside here, there is a small piece of steel, which makes this inner part magnetic. So again, I'm going to remove, first of all, this little cord. I'm going to take that wire there off, but I'm going to throw this into my steel pile and get 10 cents a pound instead of 5 cents. If this was easy to take out, that nut, this would go for clean cast aluminum, which is going for 45 cents a pound, which is obviously better than steel price. But in order to get that out, I also have to factor in waste factor and my tools. I would have to use an angle grinder to grind that out. And angle grinder is about 25 to 40 cents each one. So for me, it's not worth taking it out. So I will just leave this and get 10 cents a pound. This, as I said, is very heavy. It's about 2.5 pounds. As you can see inside of here, there is a motor. Now, these motors at a scrapyard are classified as a copper-bearing motor pile, or just motors. And these currently are going for 10 cents a pound. But as you can see inside of there, that spool, it would be, once cleaned, going for number 2 copper wire. And number 2 copper wire is going for actually $4.64 a pound, which is a great price right now for number 2. And these are very easy to take that number 2 copper out. However, before you start taking it apart, you do want to check if it is copper. There are a lot of times where, especially recent model or modern models, the manufacturers have put a coating over aluminum wire, and because aluminum is just as conductive and it's definitely cheaper to use and manufacture. So before I take this motor out, I do want to check if it's copper. So what I do is I will take a file and I will do the scratch test. So I'm just going to scratch it. And as you can see inside there's my finger, it does reveal a metallic color, which means that this spool is actually not copper, it is aluminum. So it is not worth my time to take out that spool of aluminum. So I will leave this as is, and I will put this into my copper motor pile as was. If I had, here is another example, this would fit in here. This one, and I use this purposely for educational purposes. If I was to scratch it, which I'm gonna do right now, you can see right there, that reveals copper. So this is going to be a copper motor. And as I said, this as is would be 10 cents a pound. This is about 2.5 pounds. But with a little bit of work, cutting out that copper wire, I'm gonna get number 2 copper price and a lot better value, and it doesn't take that much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it apart. Some people will use tin snippers to cut it, and you could do that. What I'm gonna do for this to speed up this video is I'm just gonna take my angle grinder. I'm just gonna cut down one side, and then I'm gonna turn it over and punch out the copper. So here we go. I'm gonna set up my angle grinder for this video. I also want to make sure that I put on safety glasses while I'm doing this video. It is pretty muggy in here, so I do want to make sure I can see. Again, safety obviously is first priority. Okay, so I'm just going to cut down the side here. Okay, and being left-handed, it's a little bit trickier. Okay, so as you can see, remove that. I'm going to take these gloves off. I've got a really nice chunk of of copper there. This is a good 7 to 8 ounces. As you can see, there's got a little bit of tape on it. That's okay. Scrapyards are not going to mind. And the rest of this, what I'm going to do is just going to make sure, first of all, that I get all the wires out of this. I can clean it up a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into my vise here, and I'm just going to take a punch. I'm just going to hit this downwards. I'm going to do right now, and this is harder to sit in my vise just because it's circular, but I just grab just a different type of punch with a hammer, and I will punch all the spools. You're going to start seeing it slide out the bottom. try and do this on an angle for you. I'm just going to work it all out. There we go. Keep going around. And once you start sliding them out, it's great. It makes it easy. The other problem is you got to make sure you get every strand, because if you don't get all the strands, it will not go through. And there are different methods, obviously. I've seen lots of different scrappers use. This one is, for me, the easiest one, and it's also kind of therapeutic. And all I'm going to do after that, last one, is I'm just going to turn it back around. Some of them will already have slid out. There you go. Some of them that I will just use a little bit more elbow grease. I could use my vise if I really wanted to. Put it back in. Just use a screwdriver and use leverage. Put this under there. Okay, there you go. Turn it around. I could also grab it with my pliers, which I'm going to do here. And again, using leverage, just pulls them right out. Okay, and again, as I said, you don't have to worry about the paper on these. The paper is fine. I do take some of the paper off, but I won't take all of it off. Get the last bit. There we go. Now, the nice thing about this is going to now go into my steel pile. Again, so 10 cents a pound. This is about 2.5, 3 pounds right here. And as you can see, I have some really beautiful copper. Again, $4.64 a pound. There is easily 1.5 pounds here, which is great. And what I do is I just put it into a giant bag of number 2 copper wire. And this is about, that bag was about 16 pounds. So that's great. And before I finish this, some people will say, well, it looks like Bear Bright. Yes, it is very shiny, it is clear. But in order for it to classify as Bear Bright, the wire has to be thicker than 16 gauge, which is the thickness of the lead of a pencil. So all of your motor wire, even though it looks bright and shiny, it is going to be number 2, so motor wire and transformer wire. But again, $4.64, I'm not going to complain about that. And again, the nice thing as well is some of the plastic, as you see on here, because it is number 2, they are not picky with that. So I will keep some of this tape on there. But again, very easy to take apart. One of these sub pumps, you find them sometimes. I was able to, of that whole sub pump, divert the whole thing away from the landfill, which is awesome. I got some great copper, but again, before you take the time to grind out that copper, check to see if it is copper or aluminum. I still, even though this is aluminum, I'm still gonna get 10 cents a pound for it. And again, as I said, this is a good, with this on here, a good 4 pounds, 5 pounds. So still getting something for it, better than nothing. And another appliance diverted from the landfill. So hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Tin Man out.